Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well out there. Wanted to share some channeled messages around the May 2023 Ascension Energy Update. I was called all today to actually go live tonight to talk about these energies and to answer some of your questions, but just as I was about to go live, my guides encouraged me to have a video pre-recorded. There were several factors, one of which is because it's going to be easier for me later on. I was actually shown a future timeline of me getting frustrated with how to take the live that would have been on Instagram and distribute it across all platforms, but also to protect my energy because there's a lot going on in astral right now. I actually have been kind of energetically prepped all day, and I assume that many of you light workers who may be tuning into this video, or anyone who's just new in general, these are psychic channelings. They're oracle messages that are coming through, only strictly connecting with beings of unconditional love and light 5D and above, including the angelic realm. We're taking messages from the divine, from the creator, and we're translating this for the collective. So yeah, there's already a lot of messages coming through, but some of you may be receiving this sort of energetic nudge, especially those of you who are more conscious about your dream state. Those messages are going to come around the dream state, almost like you're energetically being prepared or prepped for astral work overnight, some type of healing with family members that you might see in your dreams in the astral realm, or some type of mission that's prepping for a real world event energetically. So very interesting. You're going to take that how it resonates for you, but astral activity is really wild at the moment, and it always kind of is, right? We are in a spiritual war after all, but there are some peaceful times. But I think what's really coming through is because of all of these astral transits as well that are impacting just so many things on the earth plane. So we have Pluto in retrograde. We also have a lunar eclipse, a full moon coming up. Saturn is in Pisces. This has been a transit that's actually one of the most pivotal transits that will affect, I believe, the most this entire year, because it's very much rooted in history, and I'm hearing like textbooks, like what's being written almost is what is going to transpire, what's meant to change and shift essentially with systems. So let's jump into it. If you're new here, my name is Yasmin. I'm a psychic medium, a channeler. You can book a reading at my link in bio, and I just wanted to mention that all these messages that come through, it's very important for you to discern and just take what resonates. Never to incite fear, never to incite worry, never for you to incite any sense of lack mindset. If you ever feel that way watching any video, you are encouraged to turn off, okay? These messages are meant to be empowering. You can think of it as comedy if you don't want to take it seriously, if you don't take this whole thing seriously, or you can just take it for whatever resonates with you. Honestly, I am just guided to post the video, and however you perceive it, it has nothing to do with me. So it has everything to do with what you're ready to hear, what you feel guided to take on, or what you feel called to dismiss, okay? So that's just a disclaimer there. But yeah, I posted on School of the Ascending, my spiritual teachings and tools account. Is where I post a lot more sort of dense work, more of like the tools, the very how do we say, like step-by-step process on a lot of things. That's where you can find those spiritual teachings. And on that page earlier today, I posted the May 2023 Ascension update. So if you want a written form of that energy update, I would encourage you to go to School of the Ascending on Instagram and check out that page. Check out the recent post with the May 2023 energy update, and you will be able to see the specifics there, because we're not going to touch on everything that was listed there. There was a lot, and that's only 20% of what's really going to happen this month, to be honest. So when I did actually draft it, I should say, on April 20th is when I completed that entire Ascension energy update. I found out literally on 4:30 that half of those energies had already come true, which is actually telling me that we're on almost a fast track timeline, most of the collective, which means something is actually changing very drastically. Again, it has to do with the astral transits, but also with the changes, the uprootings and uprisings that are happening within each soul's sort of learning and development with their lessons, okay? It's very powerful. So one of the key messages that came through was that there's going to be a lot of karmic healing, and this goes along with the Saturn and Pisces energy, karmic healing across very specific past life timelines. So if you've ever felt called, connected to, or you're aware you have a past life experience within the medieval times or within something that has to do with like a royal high court society, there's a lot of karma getting resolved in that timeline that's paralleling this timeline, okay? Because time, even though we know history is considered the past, time is an illusion, and in reality, the past as we know it and have been taught it to have been is always playing out, right? Just as our present moment is kind of always playing out. It's very difficult to make that logical, but try to think of it as, you know, what's playing out in the past is essentially happening in a modern way in the now. And so what's being changed in the now might not change the past that we have been taught, but it changes the past and that we're liberating for the future, right? So there's something very interesting about karma being a liberation energy, something getting resolved around the medieval times, past life timelines around a royal energy. You didn't have to be in the medieval times. It's something if you were related or connected with something in the royal society or something royal, like you lived in a castle or you worked in a castle or you were part of something, some type of class system at that time. And I'm specifically seeing France, Spain. There's several other countries that I remember I channeled through, but Spain being a big one, and France. And those are the two that seem to come up. And it's interesting because I'm even being brought back to some of the history within the Spanish War. So maybe some of you were alive during that time. You're going to want to take what resonates. Of course, if you want to book a past life reading, an Akashic record reading with me, click the link in my bio. I love to channel for past life energies. It's one of my favorite readings to do because there's a lot that comes through, obviously, and you can kind of find the correlation with things that you've experienced throughout your life, things such as experiences that have come before you. So there's a lot that's coming through with this message about healing past life karma, really resolving that energy. And I want to kind of transition even forward a little bit to the present day experience here. There's messages that are coming through about whistleblowing. So there's already been news about a whistleblower who's been highlighting sort of maybe I have to be careful with the buzzwords here, but it is what it is, right? The trafficking of children or the sex trafficking, human trafficking in general. Okay, there's something about that's come to light. There's already been a whistleblower that's come to light. And in the May Ascension Energy Update, I specifically stated, I'm feeling someone who knows some politicians who could be foreign, who was sworn to secrecy in basically exchange for their death. Like they're like, yeah, it's almost like a selling your soul type of ordeal, and they kind of got themselves out of that because this person had a very important mission to whistleblow. But it's very interesting because I see that this person is connected or personally knows somehow the Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. So there's something about that message, you guys, that's coming through about whistleblowing. And I do think that there's going to be more around this coming to light over the next few years anyway, through the entire Saturn in Pisces transit. Really, it's going to be up until 2026. Even when Saturn leaves Pisces briefly, I think in 2024 or 2025, it's going to go right back to Pisces. And I think it only leaves Pisces for like a week or something or less. I'm not really sure, but it could be next year or the year after. But it's going to be going until 2026, which means that there's going to be a lot more uprisings and uprootings of very dense karmic energies within the systems. We are quite literally seeing the world completely change. So we will bear witness to much of the systems that have been in place for many generations, really, since, the earlier times of the United States, we'll say, especially in this country, and maybe for many other countries, it's going to completely change. We're basically seeing that I'm hearing alteration being made in certain systems that are going to hopefully benefit humanity. Now, that's where we're sort of teetering right now. It's sort of like a seesaw, which has been a message that's been coming through for several, I feel like, months, honestly. The seesaw energy that, humanity is leaning on one timeline of like, are we going to some of us going to experience this kind of system in the world or this kind of system in the world? And I think we are going to be in a world where there's going to be two different systems, and that there is going to be aspects of freedom and that there is going to be aspects of control. But the places in which there's going to be aspects of control, I am feeling, are going to be very limited. So just circling back, distant future energies are very interesting to tap into because they can happen within the next year, within the next few months. It's almost like you see where it is on the timeline, but where I see Earth in 2026 is going to be quite different, and not in a massive way, but yeah, the systems that we'll say, because I'm being reminded and shown this generation, the baby boomers, the systems that the baby boomers were in, it's not going to be the same system that we're heading into. And even, the next generations after Gen Z are going to be in a completely different sort of conscious energy. Their souls are going to be quite advanced. But yes, there's a lot of collective messages coming through, I'm feeling, guys, around this transit of Saturn and Pisces, and it's really almost like overwhelming. It's translating as just this huge wipeout is what I'm seeing, like a complete wipeout. Like someone is almost erasing all their drawings, their sort of doodles on a board, and wiping it completely clean. And that's what's coming through in regards to this earth transition energy, this systemic energy that's been kind of infiltrated in society within, the divine masculine energy of the planet, as well as the divine feminine energy of the planet. And this is kind of, okay, now I understand why so I'm being told right now, Archangel Sandalphon just clarified with me that the reason why I just went down this sort of channeling rabbit hole, as you guys probably just witnessed, is because we are going to get a glimpse of these systemic changes in the world, between states that are considered more oppressive because they've chosen to divert into a darker timeline narrative due to corruption, which their karmic justice will obviously be returned to them. I'm hearing immediately, but that timeline will exist. So that reality will exist for some people, where they will be present in places that are still oppressed. And then we're going to see sort of places, countries, nationals, is what I'm hearing, that are going to be completely, sort of the system is going to change. It's going to be completely wiped slate clean is what I'm hearing. The slate will be clean with some of these countries and their previous corrupt systems, but they will not resort to further corruption, further totalitarian. It's going to be a bit better of a society is what I'm hearing, because I'm seeing a contrast in societies. But we're going to get a glimpse of those future sort of energies, the Saturn and Pisces transit up until 2026 in May 2023. So the changes that are going to be made, I'm hearing, quite permanently. Okay, I just saw a very interesting image of a Japanese lamp. Okay, and I'm also seeing it's a lamp that's swinging back and forth like a time clock. So I almost feel that there is an energy that it's like a ticking type of thing. Like there is going to be, it's inevitable. There is going to be very strong glimpses of what may happen on the earth between 2024 up until the sort of system that's going to be put in place in 2026 this month. What does that mean and translate to? It means that there's going to be heavy pressure around these systems needing to change, which means a lot of people's lifestyles are going to change as well. I am seeing this will also be due to, and I'm being reminded of this, that was linked to the May energy update that I channeled on School of the Ascending's Instagram. So if you want to catch that post again, it's there. You can also find it on my Twitter account at Door to Value. But I'm being reminded to share that much of these uprisings and uprootings are also going to be due to the revelation of more deaths. And that was something that I did channel as well. It's a very difficult message. It's a difficult message to share because no one wants to know that someone that they know is going to pass. Unfortunately, this is what's going to happen. And it happens because it's a natural part of life anyway. But there's something about the systems that are changing, and this whistleblower energy this month in May 2023 that is going to sort of be connected to all these different sort of deceitful ties and places throughout the last 3 years. And one of those ties is connected to, I forgot about the keywords, guys. I don't want to get blocked, but yeah, if you know what I mean, what happened all 2020. So that there's going to be a lot more related to that, unfortunately. So, we have to remember that our family members, people we love, are having contracts. They have agreements with the Creator, with their other family members, like your other family members. And so they're never really gone. In the physical world, they are, because you're not seeing them anymore, but they are always around you, believe it or not. And it's almost like even when you don't see them, you know, even when you don't see someone in real life, like for a few days, or you don't talk to them for a few hours, it's like you're in your own world, right, for those few hours. But they're always still connected to you. It's the same way, if not more connected to you now than they were previously. And so, you know, there is an encouragement, I think, and yeah, I'm being guided to share that whoever is really going to be strongly tuning into this message may not be directly affected with, because I'm being reminded of this, with this energy, that whoever's tuning into this video, these messages, they're going to know someone. It's kind of like, I know someone who lost someone, okay? So this is inevitable. This is just the result of what is meant to happen, and justice will always be served. But there is something about that narrative from the last 3 years that is a pivotal in impacting essentially the energy for the systems, for the world, what's going to change and shift. And a lot of that is also an echo of what inner work is being done as well. So there's still a massive collective of humanity that is not necessarily awakened, so they still sort of don't have the awareness, the conscious awareness that, you know, what you go through in your own life, the outside will reflect that. So they almost are paying more attention to the outside and what's happening on their outside world, that's then forcing them to go within. And for some people, that's the way it has to be done, right? Like for some people, that's the way that it has to be done. They have to not have the conscious awareness until, and that's really what an awakening is anyway, right? We go through experiences in our awakening journey that quite literally mirrors back to us, you know, we have to go within now. Like, this is happening on my outside world. Maybe my stability has been questioned. Maybe, you know, my safety, my security, an aspect of my comfortable life has been challenged. Now I'm guided to go within, you know. Could be friendship, could be job related, could be personal, whatever that might be for you. But something happens outside of us oftentimes, and we pretty much go through life looking outside of us most of the time, either because we've been taught that way or because that's just what has been shown to us or what we've perceived life to be pre-awakening. We look at what's happening outside of us like some world event and we're like, oh my gosh, you know. And then when the tables are turned, we eventually realize, because when things start to tumble and start to happen consistently, when cycles start to repeat, that reflection's pointing inward. So a lot of the collective of humanity that's still quite unconscious, not yet awakened, obviously their divine timing will come, will be very affected by this narrative. Those are the majority of people that will be affected by these sort of you know, upending deaths and passings, unfortunately. So yeah, very interesting message. And you know, I'm here for support for you guys. So if you want to talk more about this, if you need someone to talk to, reach out to me, you know, book a reading, we can talk, we can channel and see what comes through, if you're comfortable with that, if you would like that, or you feel guided to, because yeah, it can be very difficult when things are unexpected in our real world, and we don't know how to move through with it, right? So this month is going to bring more opportunities to really go within, and if you're awakened or ascending, to really, you know, reflect on what future timelines you see yourself being in at this time, because it's almost like I'm getting the imagery of like how concrete sets. So like if concrete is wet on the sidewalk, right? And you put your like footprint on it or your handprint on it, it's going to eventually set with that print there. So it's almost like the timelines are being slowly, they're slowly drying, is what I'm being told, in the same way that wet concrete dries on a sidewalk. But where your imprint is going to be left there. So May 2023 is very much encouraging that there's a focus around prioritizing where you want your imprint to be, or what you want your imprint to be, because it's almost like a 7-year cycle. 2 to 7 year cycle is what I'm hearing. For some of you, you will be entering another 2-year cycle before the next 7-year cycle. For some of you, you're going to enter a next 7-year cycle, and it depends on what it's related to. So for some of you, if it's love, it's going to be a 2-year cycle in love, then that cycle ends, that chapter ends, and then there's going to be a 7-year cycle. It could be related to job. It could be related to a business venture, a project, money, something about that. Okay, you guys. So it's very interesting messages that are coming through. There's going to be a lot more realizations this month. And the beauty of Taurus season and Gemini season merging in the month of May is that we get the best, I'm hearing the best of both worlds, okay? We get this very beautiful grounded energy that teaches us about stability, about security, about our strengths, about our ability to really find the nurture within our journey and to kind of harmonize and ground ourselves, to balance ourselves. There's a very chill energy, even though things might be crazy around us or in our personal lives. There's a very chill energy being sort of impressioned upon the collective, because this is the, and also that's the light side, but I'm being told and reminded of the shadow side of this energy as well, right? Because I'm being shown the Taurus, the symbol of Taurus, which is like the bull, right? So there is a shadow energy connected to Taurus, which is very stubborn, right? These systems, for example, that want to just stay put and not change, but concrete is going to dry, right? And so there's this energy, this season that's calling upon the release of stubborn energies and to focus on nurturing the new, okay? And Gemini season is creating this split with that concrete drying, almost is what I'm getting there. It's almost like Gemini season, because it's Gemini, the sign of Gemini tends to be very known as a split energy, right? We're seeing that timeline split, as I mentioned earlier, with that concrete metaphor I was mentioning as well. Very interesting how the guides are bringing this in and tying this message in. It's like Gemini season, it's like that imprint that you're going to put on the wet concrete, and as the concrete starts to dry, that imprint is going to solidify, you know, what timeline do you want to be on, you know? And Gemini season is going to show you what next cycles approach in your life. You're probably going to get, many of you, daydreams and visions and things like that about this energy as well, you know? Like, it's very, very highly likely that you'll get sort of daydreams about your future, these inspiring daydreams about your future, and you're going to be called to almost explore that further, because those are actually indications of future timelines for you guys. So yeah, everything is crazy right now, but it's also very revealing. And I think if you've done the work for yourself, you shouldn't have to worry at all, to be honest. Like, if you've been doing the shadow work, or you're actively self-aware and conscious of like things that happen in your everyday life, and you kind of have a moment every day to sit with that and like really process, like, this is how I felt in that situation, this is what I needed in this situation, this is how this situation felt like to me. You know, you're really sitting and thinking about how your day went for a little bit time, at least once a day. That's basically doing the work, to be honest. And most of the work is really sitting with your own energy and processing it, which is a very hard thing for many people to do. Even when you don't have the answers after processing, it's like at least you sat with that energy and really gave yourself the space to understand it better, right? Even if it's a past experience, because that teaches us how to move forward when new things come up, right? When new triggers or experiences come up. So there's something very powerful around this, and around creating the new. And yeah, if you've done the work, I wouldn't really worry, but definitely, you know, what happens in the outside world can affect anyone. So, you know, just take what resonates. You know, you never want to do anything rash or anything crazy like that. You know, I also want to talk about the financial stuff real quickly as well, you guys. Can't quite remember at the top of my head if I talked about this in any recent lives on Door to Value or any recent channel messages, because I do have very specific people that I connect with and talk about this particular topic with, and I'm being reminded to share this again about the financial market. My guides are saying, yes, you did make a video about this. So there's something about the financial market right now where we are going to see a complete change in the money at this point. So it is going to change, but it's not in the way that is being very fear-spewed to many of us, where we have to worry, because the timeline hasn't been really necessarily decided, meaning that some of us will be in places where we will be forced to adapt new sort of money management tools or money management methods for the country. Like, if a country changes and prints a new dollar bill with a new image on it and a new design on it, and they say this is the official new $50 bill, it's like, okay, you have no other choice. Like, if you want to use a $50 bill, that's the one you have to use. So it's kind of like, but it's a natural adaptation is what I'm hearing. But there is an attempt to, the natural adaptation I'm hearing is it's not going to be affecting you as much as you think it will. So even though there's eyes on the finances, this is not going to turn into an episode of The Handmaid's Tale, is what I'm hearing. Now, that is a reflection of a very dark timeline that is trying to manifest itself through these groups of people, these entities, as reptilians in charge of these systems, right? But it's not solidified because there still are good people in that system. Unfortunately for the reptilians who are trying to combat that. So because what's happening is they're trying to, for some of you that don't know, implement a sort of like a payment tool. It's like PayPal, like Cash App, like Venmo, but it's not just like a payment tool where you send money to someone, like Zelle. It's not like that. It's actually going to be the intermediary between a purchase that you make using your own money with your own card, right? And the store that you're purchasing it from. So if, you want to go buy something from Amazon, your money is going to usually go straight to Amazon, right? What this new it's called FedNow application, these new money management tools are aimed to do is to be the intermediary where your money is not going to go to Amazon straight in the future. It's going to go through FedNow, right? Through this intermediary with the government oversees what money you're spending. And they are trying to implement these very harsh rules. Some people in certain political parties on both sides, is what I'm hearing, are trying to implement these strict rules around this financial institution, this financial intermediary that's digital, where everyone must spend a certain dollar amount per day. And I think that those are darker timelines that exist somewhere in this universe. But it really, because of the way that the United States was built, even though was built in a very corruptive way, and there were a lot of lies connected. And when I say built in a corruptive way, I'm talking about the United States being built in a corruptive way, right? Because all of these wars and things like that, we're getting rid of like communities, indigenous tribes, right? So let's know our history here. The U.S. is a wonderful country, but there is a lot of misdemeanors around this energy of this country. Okay, so that's what I heard. Felons, let's just be honest. It's felon-like energy connected to the history of this country. The real meaning of what a felon should be really is what this energy is, because they are trying to, there's certain people in both political parties that want to implement this corruption. They want to tell people that they have to spend this amount every single day, or they want to stop payments, but that's just not, because of the way that the U.S. was still set up, there's still certain freedoms that are owed to us that people are still going to fight for in those corruptive systems for us. And so, but we are going to see something very drastic, in May, June, mostly June and July around money. So we'll tap into those energies when that time comes close, but I am feeling around June, July for that. But for May specifically, we're going to just see more announcements around bank institutions. I actually shared with a couple clients, that are invested in the financial markets about JP Morgan, and I just found out today on May 1st about JP Morgan. I guess they bought some like third-party company, and that was exactly what I shared with my clients. They're going to start to buy basically all these other banks, these smaller banks that are owned by Chase or whatever large chain there exists. They're going to be transforming into purely digital, and so that's kind of what we're seeing. So it is the age we're in. I'm not particularly against anything digital for obvious reasons, like connecting with each other across the globe is easier than it was in like 1540, right? But we also have to bear in mind that there are certain psyops in place to control the collective, and those are timelines that aren't necessarily destined to, I'm hearing, win or to play out, but it is a large connection to what humanity does within ourselves as well, and that is not something that any psychic medium can really truly accurately predict, because it's always changing, but we can only share the current energies that are coming through based on where we're at as a human collective. So you guys, so very interesting messages that were coming through today. I want to say, just hang in there, make sure you clear your energy, make sure you start to include some type of personal practice, spiritual practice, faith-based practice, whatever that is for you guys every day, even if it's just calling in protection from God, expressing your gratitude for your life, and obviously closing it out with calling upon protection of you and your loved ones and anyone You know, the prayer is so much simpler than I think what a lot of religions have made it out to be. And sometimes because of how complex it may seem or how it is taught, especially to young people, it makes them not want to build that connection. So it's very important that we recognize that faith is not defined as border-like as most people think it is. You can pray however you need to any time of the day. There's no restrictions. And, you know, even just sitting down and pausing and taking a couple of deep breaths and just, you know, calling upon, you know, higher energies for protection and expressing that gratitude for, again, your life, like I mentioned earlier, that's honestly a form of prayer. That's a form of meditation. That's a form of faith-based practice and spiritual practice. And it works. It really does, because you're doing it, right? You're doing it. At least you are doing it. And spiritual faith-based practices kind of adapt and change over time the more disciplined you become and consistent you become with that practice. But I am being called and guided to share with you guys whatever you can do to just even protect your own energy this month. Do that. Really prioritize that in your daily routines if you can do it. It's like a minute. It takes a minute, honestly. But do it, because yeah, there's just dense energies that are very present in the earth, and there is a spiritual war still going on, and so we just need to be mindful of that energy. But yeah, you guys, I'm not really sure what else needs to come through at the moment. Like I said, you know, I wanted to originally go live, but right before I was planning on doing that, my guides literally directed me and asked me to make a video, and I looked just now and it's at 31:11, so I was planning on only making this a 10-minute video because you can't upload more than 10 minutes on Instagram, but it'll be on YouTube here. So yeah, give me a like if you liked this video, if any of it resonated. Subscribe if you're new. Leave your comments down below, and I thank you so much for being here. And yeah, just sending you guys so much love and light. And if I have any more updates for the month, I'll definitely be back. Might record a video on faith and religion coming up this week, so I'll keep you guys posted. Turn your post notifications on, and I send you guys all so much love and light. Bye.